Hey, it's so great to see you again. Welcome back to another week's episode of Closed by Mo. My name is Mohammed. I'm hopefully your favorite YouTube host on most things real estate. I'm also a real estate investor based out of the state of New York. And I just want to take a moment and pause. If you're enjoying this kind of content and if you're sharing it with your friends, you probably want to subscribe to it. So go ahead and drop a subscribe or a like. And if you hate it, drop a dislike too, because apparently that also helps with the YouTube algorithm. This week's video, we're going to give you another market overview that will give you a better understanding of what's happening in your real estate market. I'll focus a little bit more on New York since most of my viewers and clients are also in New York. And before we jump into any of that, I wanted to give you a bit of an idea of what I think will happen in next week's Fed meeting, where they'll decide whether or not they should raise interest rates or not. I think we'll definitely see another rate hike because inflation's nowhere near to where we want it to be at around 2%. But I do feel that because inflation has been slowing down, we should see a slower rate hike or a lower or sort of a less, I don't even know if that's the right word, a lower rate hike than what we've seen in the past. So instead of 50 basis points or 75 basis points, I think we're going to end up right around 25 basis point hike. That's around 0.25%. So fingers crossed that happens, because that's usually a good sign that even the Federal Reserve believes inflation is cooling down. Without further ado, let's jump right into January 2023's market moments. Of course, before we jump into any of the data and explaining what all of this means, we have to cite our sources. If you scroll down in the description below, you'll see the links to the reports that I'm using. They're mainly Black Knight Data Reporting Company and the New York State Association of Realtors. Now, let's look at what the mortgage data is actually telling us, because it looks pretty bleak from where I'm standing. And if you're in the mortgage industry in any shape or form, man, I feel for you. All right, it sounds like the party's not over, but the music has definitely slowed down, because what the data's telling us is month over month in December of 2022, we saw 70% less rate locks than we did in December 2021. As a matter of fact, we're at the volume of rate locks that we're at, it's 30% lower than where we were pre-pandemic levels. This is pretty sombering news, because 80% of the loan volume in the US annually is new loans, new purchase loans, and those are down 50% from where they were last year. So in December 2022, the total number of loans closed or rates that were locked were 50% lower than where they were just a year ago. And if that's not sombering news to give you an idea of how buyers are reacting to the rising interest rates, I don't know what else really is. So my heart definitely goes out to everyone working in the mortgage industry. If you feel like your pipeline is drying up, it's not just you, it's being felt everywhere according to this report. Now let's jump into how things are actually looking like in the New York State and specifically New York City real estate market. To start us off with a little bit of good news, what we actually saw in 2022 compared to 2021 in New York State and New York City was that the median sales price actually jumped up by around 6%, which is very good news for homeowners. And the overall average sales price was about 101, almost 102% of the asking price. So overall, sellers in 2022 didn't get hurt as much as we would have thought when compared to 2021. Now for the bad news, unfortunately, pending sales and closed sales did drop about 10% in volume across the whole state, especially in Nassau and Suffolk County, where we saw 16% drops in overall pending and closed sales. Queens and Bronx seeing a 4% drop, with Brooklyn seeing an almost 10% drop in overall closed sales and sales volumes. Now, that being said, it's also important to note that compared to 2021, in 2022, we saw an overall drop in inventory of around 8.5%, which I think is actually contributing to the fact that sales prices aren't dropping as much as maybe buyers would have liked. Because now we're seeing inventory dropping along with demand dropping, we're still seeing a little bit of a price squeeze where the drop in inventory is maybe pacing around the drop in demand too. With that, guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video. I know I had a lot of fun making it. Like I said, if you are enjoying this type of content, please go ahead and drop a like or a subscribe. It really helps this channel. Also follow the social media channels that I'll be posting in the description below. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next week.